All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to do this thing. Give me a little bit of time to tweet this link out. In about 30 seconds. All right. I'm link right now. You with you in about 30 seconds. Give me time, give me time, give me time. I'll be right with you. Putting out the link right now. Make sure you can hear all this typing right here. So hold on, give me a little bit, tweeting it out. And drop some comments. Hold up, hold up. All right. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we can get down to business now. Fastlane. What a pay-per-view Fastlane was. And I do not mean that in a good way. We had KO taking the beatdown of a lifetime. So I'm gonna save that. Let's start it off. Let's get right into it. All right, first up on the pre-show, we had the cruiserweight tag team match. That was that was way more than what I expected. It was high energy, it was up and down, and it was the perfect kickoff match, and got the fans very excited, and got me very excited as well. I was ready for some fast lane. Unfortunately, I didn't know what was gonna come afterwards, but I thought it was a great match, and it very much served its purpose. But moving on to the pay per view, they started off with Samoa Joe and Sami Zayn, and I was so excited for this one. I mean, this is arguably I thought Bailey and Bailey and Charlotte would be the match tonight, but this was a arguably a show stiller, possibly, but I mean, it didn't really go long enough to be that. But it was a fantastic match in its own right. Had a lot of good back and forth. It was what it needed to be. It didn't go long, but Joe needed to come off looking like a dominator, coming off looking like a destroyer. No pun intended. And Sami Zayn had some good, hope spots, and it was a fantastic matchup. In the end, they went with the right result. Joe had to go over clean here because he's on the edge of a monster push, and I thought it was a fantastic opener for the fans, and I thought it was a really really good match. But moving on, I mean, we didn't see much of any great matches after that. But moving on to the tag team title match, we had Enzo and Cass versus Gallows and Anderson. If you listen to my Fastlane preview, You noted I said that this was a matchup of two teams that were pretty much going nowhere for a long time. I mean, until Gallows and Anderson actually won the titles. I mean, they've traditionally booked these tag teams as into nothing segments going nowhere, and it's really hurt their momentum. But we got to last night, and boy, so there's something up with Enzo. I mean, he's really losing his luster. I mean, he's not as impressive as he once was on the mic, and some of that is on WWE, some of that is on him rambling on. But as for the match, uh, I had it as a decent yet unimpressive match because when Enzo got in the ring, I mean, it seems like I don't want to be rude, but it seems like the only thing Enzo can do in the match is get thrown around. Whether it be from Cass, that's their tag team offense. He'll just throw Enzo to the outside over the top rope. And I mean, he'll throw Enzo down for a splash. And it's either that or the opponent is beating up Enzo and throwing him around. So for the entire time Enzo was in the match, I mean, it was just unimpressive, largely unimpressive. And I mean, the fans were quiet. And I mean, the match didn't really pick up until Big Cass got in the ring. And, he had a very good hot tag. And I thought it was a solid close to the match with the champs winning. But largely overall, I mean, man, all Enzo did was bump around, and he really didn't add anything to the match. But with the way it is right now, it really looks like we're on the road to a split with Enzo and Cass. I mean, I think they've really missed their opportunity, and by they, I mean WWE. They've really missed their opportunity to put this team over the top. I mean, when they came in, they were hot as fire, hot as fish grease. But now they lost a whole lot of momentum, whether it be with a feud with Rusev or whatever. They're just not the same. And I really think the money is in a split and a singles run with Big Cass. So watch out for that. I don't think it's coming anytime soon, but I think that's where they need to go. Moving on, we had the Sasha Banks and Nia Jax match, and this one really, this is another match that got off to a really slow start as Nia Jax controlled the match. It was a whole lot of rest holds, and largely not very impressive wrestling going on in the start of the match. Until they was just kind of out there just to get to a certain point of the match. And that point was when Sasha got the guillotine on Nia Jax, and that was a nice moment. I mean, it went from the guillotine to the sleeper hold, and that really woke the crowd up. And I mean, that was a fantastic moment. But looking at the whole match overall, that was about the only two moments where I kind of set up on my seat and was interested in the match, because it was largely a slow and unimpressive match, just like the match before it. But this one didn't even have a good pickup down the stretch. I mean, down the stretch, it was as unimpressive as the start of the match. But one thing I did say before this match was that Nia Jax could not lose cleanly. And, once you beat the women's championship, you get a clean win over the women's champion on the go home show of Raw. You have no business losing cleanly. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. Nia Jax lost clean as a sheet to Sasha Banks. And I mean, the roll up does make it better. I mean, it makes it a little more acceptable. But I mean, you got to protect Nia Jax a little better there, as it seems like we're on the way to this fatal four way. I mean, if she's gonna be fatal four way at WrestleMania, mind you, and I mean, if she's gonna be in such a four way, I mean, she has to be protected, and they didn't do a good job of that. But moving on, next up we had a comedy of errors. Next up, it was Jinder Mahal and Rusev coming out and beating up each other, and then we had Cesaro and Jinder, followed by the Big Show and Rusev. Look, I understand that it's a 3-hour show, and you have to fill time some way somehow. But look, there are more impressive ways, or more innovative ways to fill time. And there's nothing like a time killing segment. There's nothing worse than a time killing segment that feels like a time killing segment or a time killing match. And both of these matches just logged and lumbered around. And I lost interest big time because they were just out there just filling out time. And Cesaro got the win over Jinder, and that was what it was. That was the right result. But man, the Big Show just embarrassed poor Rusev. And I mean, geez, if they're gonna kill time, at least give us the right result. I mean, Rusev is one of the best athletes on the roster, and he's out there getting choke slammed 3-4 times and punched. And Big Show was taking his time the whole match, and it was a huge bore. Between the two matches. Huge bore and just a huge chore to sit through. But moving on from that, we had what was the match of the night, surprisingly, in Jack Gallagher and Neville. I mean, in my preview, I said that this could be a good match. I was looking forward to being a good match, and it was the best built up feud of the cruiserweights so far. But I had no idea that this would be the match of the night. It was a fast pace to start. Had the crowd involved in on their feet right from the get go. Neville controlled, and man, Neville hit a snap German suplex in this match to where, look, I thought Gallagher was hurt. I thought he was seriously injured, and I mean, the ref had to check on him, and of course he was okay, but the way that Neville snapped that German suplex off, it was ugly. Ugly in a good way. And I mean, following up with that, Jack Gallagher had some hellacious headbutts. Like I've seen headbutts in wrestling for years now. But Jack Gallagher threw some headbutts to where I was questioning if Neville was even in. I was questioning if Neville was hurt. That second headbutt that Neville took at the top rope, where it knocked him out, and I put that in quotation marks. But geez, I mean, man, I thought he was hurt for real, and that I think that led to that Gallagher top rope belly to back, to which that was a nice maneuver. And this match, it never had a point in this match to where you thought, this match is just dragging along. And I got to give him credit for that. I got to give him huge credit for that, because this entire show was filled with those type of matches. And in the end, it was very surprising to see Neville break out that God, the name escapes me now. But the shooting star press, that's what I call it, because that's what it was. all of these years, but Neville has a certain name for it. I forget it. It just escapes my mind right now. But the shooting star press. Well, not even the shooting star press, but Neville's finishing maneuver. Uh, I mean, and then after that, it was an impressive match, to which I was obviously it was obviously the match of the night, and Neville broke out his finishing move, which is not the shooting star press, by the way. But after that, I knew it was over, and it was the totally correct decision. As in my preview, I said that look, Neville has to win this match. He has to be the heel that has the long run with the title, and eventually loses it to a plucky face underdog. And that time will come eventually. I don't know if it'll come soon, but I'm very much enjoying Neville's run, and I very much enjoyed that match that he had with Jack Gallagher. So next up, we had Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman. And this is the match in which, just like Nia Jax, I said that, look, Strowman, before the match, I tweeted out, Strowman needs this match a whole lot more than Roman Reigns needs it. And I mean, in no way, at the least, Strowman couldn't lose this match clean. I actually, in my previews, I thought that The Undertaker would come out and cost Roman this match. But that being said, looking at the match, these guys had a physical battle, just a hoss battle. And I said that it couldn't be a technical match. It had to be a physical back and forth. And boy, did they not disappoint. From the power slam through the table to Strowman just flinging Roman around, I gotta say that it was more of a decent match than most would give it credit for. And while it did start slow, I did enjoy the match. It came off as a really good physical match, and when it picked up, it became a really good match once they got to the closing stretch. But everything was right about this match except the finish. Look, I understand that you got to keep Roman looking strong. But look, I mean, you can't. They couldn't give Strowman some type of benefit of the doubt. I mean, at least have Roman roll him up from behind or do something. Hit him with a chair when the ref didn't see it. You got to protect Strowman just like you had to protect Nia Jax. And I just don't enjoy the fact that Roman hits one spear and it's all over with. But since we're heading, well, I mean, we're all but heading for Roman Reigns and Undertaker at WrestleMania. I guess they had to keep Roman looking strong. And that's unfortunate because they could have worked this to where both guys looked good and Strowman could have still came out looking good in defeat. But I digress, and we'll move on. I will move on to Bayley and Charlotte for the WWE Women's title. Look, before this match, it had a big fight feel. Look, this is arguably a co-main event before the match. You know, the fans were into it. It's a big fight feel, felt like a big match. And, you know, in my previews, I thought that, you know, they would go with Charlotte winning here to keep the streak alive. But going to the match, I thought Bayley and Charlotte did an excellent job uh going back and forth. Charlotte, I like the fact that Charlotte was trash talking Bailey and belittling Bailey throughout the entire match. That makes for good heel work when you really belittle a face, a lovable face at that. But it was a fantastic match. Had some good spots. Bailey's Hurricane Rana, followed by the elbow. That was a nice spot. The moonsault, I think that was from Charlotte. That was a nice spot. But look, what everybody's talking about is what happened at the end of the match. This was an unmitigated disaster. So, okay, Sasha Banks runs down, and the ref is looking right at Sasha and Charlotte. Sasha contacts Charlotte, and like that's disqualification right off the bat. Like, I don't know what they were doing. I don't know if who botched that. Maybe Charlotte was supposed to, contact Sasha first and throw her out or whatever. But one way or another, the ref can't look at that and just not let the match go on. But moving on, Bailey would go on to get the win with Sasha's help once again. And it all just came off as awkward. You can't have faces ganging up on one heel. I mean, look, it looked so backwards because Charlotte ordered Dana Brooke to the back. And that was the honorable thing to do. If anything, Charlotte was more of the face in this match than anything. So you had two faces interfering. I mean, one face and Sasha interfering on Bailey's behalf, and they celebrate after the match like they're heels. But speaking of that, when they were celebrating, I gotta admit, I thought a Sasha heel turn was coming. And they've been teasing this thing and teasing this thing. And despite how they botched this match last night, I was waiting on that Sasha heel turn. And I've been saying for quite some time now that a Sasha heel turn on Bailey would be the number one storyline for Raw heading into WrestleMania. I hope they go ahead and go through with it because it's something that I really want to see. And it'll be interesting. Raw's coming up, and I have some thoughts on some things that'll happen on Raw. But I think a Sasha heel turn is coming. And I don't know if it'll be on this Raw. I don't know when it'll be. But if it ever does happen, it will be a fantastic moment. So moving on, we have the main event. Man. Goldberg and KO. So I'm looking at my watch while while Bailey and Charlotte is going on, and it's about 9:42, 9:43. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, man, Goldberg and KO is not going to get started till around 9:50, 9:55. And you know what that means. So before the match, we have the grand entrances. They're both really nice. And once the match starts, Chris Jericho's music kicks off, and to which in my previews, that was what I predicted. And of course, we have the spear, jackhammer, 1, 2, 3. Look, I have a huge problem with this, but look, I'm not mad about it because I don't think I have a few rules as a fan. And one of them is you're not allowed to be mad at something that you saw coming a mile away. And look, I saw this coming a mile away. We all saw it coming a mile away. So it is what it is, but WWE is just in deep crap right now because you got two part-timers main event in WrestleMania. What does that say to your full roster when you have two part-timers main eventing WrestleMania? I mean, look, I respect Goldberg, I respect Lesnar, but there's guys on that roster, Kevin Owens, Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, the list goes on and on and on, that should be having a WrestleMania moment. And you can't just give these. I mean, WrestleMania used to be the pay-per-view where stars were made. Now it's just a pay-per-view that has just all the grand stuff and doesn't care about making stars. And that's a shame. But looking ahead, there's going to be a lot of smart fans or whatever at WrestleMania, and I don't even think Goldberg can wrestle a full match. I really think we're going to get the first 2 minute. Goldberg hasn't even gone a minute yet in any of his matches. So, I mean, I guess if we get 5 minutes out of the whole thing, that'll be like a 30-minute match for Goldberg. But I really think it's going to be the first 2-minute match, 2-minute main event in WrestleMania history. And that's very unfortunate because, I mean, all signs point to Brock Lesnar getting his revenge back. And that's going to suck. At the end of we're going to be at the end of WrestleMania, and Brock's going to have the belt, most likely. I hope that's what I feel at the moment. Maybe I'll change that coming up for my WrestleMania predictions, but we'll see. We'll see about that. But either way it goes, it's going to suck. And we'll be all mad at the end of the pay-per-view. So, moving on, we have Monday Night Raw tonight. And look, I'm just saying, after Fastlane last year, Brock Lesnar threw Dean Ambrose into a car on Raw. Shane McMahon showed up, and Triple H beat down Roman Reigns. Look, last year, they were going to put across the point that WrestleMania season is here, and they made that Raw huge. That was the peak point of my excitement for WrestleMania. And I think that's what we're going to get tonight. Look, we're going to follow up on KO and Jericho. We'll see what happens there. Sasha and Bayley, watch out for that. I mean, the heel turn could be coming. And look, Undertaker, we got Roman and Undertaker. I wouldn't be surprised if he showed up tonight because we got to get this thing kicked off. It's WrestleMania season. And look, we're in Chicago tonight. That's the all-time greatest crowd, Chicago, for some. And look, it's going to be bananas tonight. I suggest that you pay attention all night because something big's going to happen. And I cannot wait to see it. Hopefully we get a great show, but I won't get my hopes up too high. But I will be watching tonight. I'll be live tweeting a little bit, but I'll be paying more attention to the show than I would be normally. So hit me up on Twitter. Feel free to subscribe to this channel. And I'll see you at some time throughout this week to talk more wrestling. Thank you very much.